If you were to write a book about your bushcraft journey or your outdoors journey up to now, what would the first 5 chapters be like? What would you talk about? Would you give a basic, here's where I started, here's where I went next, here's where I am now, here's where I'm going kind of outline? Or would you start somewhere in the middle, bounce around a bit? Would it be just straight up philosophy? Would you even do a timeline? What would you do? What, if you were sitting there, computer on your lap, ready to type, this was my bushcraft journey up until today, what would you write? I wonder things like this a lot because as someone who has spent the past 20 odd years as a writer, I approach everything in that sort of from that direction. I went to school to do script writing, which I obviously don't do, but that's okay. But what I'm saying is that I approach everything I do as a storyteller. I don't write stories much now, and I don't know if I ever will. I fancied myself a poet at one point. I fancied myself as a novelist. I have reams of written stuff that will never see the light of day. I have poems out there in the ether. I had a girlfriend once who I guess I technically met online because she sent me an email about one of my poems that she'd read somewhere. And we started a correspondence, and she moved up from the Bronx. And now she lives back down there somewhere. But, Hey, 39's here. How's it going? And outdoor. Hey, guys. 39, remind me to contact you later about a bush cooking episode, panel discussion I would like to do at the end of March. But, this is the kind of question I'm asking myself right now because I kind of feel the itch to maybe put pen to paper about my bushcraft journey or about the bushcrafts. And I'm not sure which direction to go. I'm not going to ask you guys which direction to go. I'm not going to ask you guys for story ideas or anything. I'm just musing. I'm musing because I didn't have anything special on the docket for tonight. I had a couple of ideas, but they all seem to kind of suck. And my phone somewhere has been buzzing. I don't know where it is though, and it's probably the guys who are on my who are on Signal telling me what I should be doing tonight. But I don't know where my phone is. It's under this pile of stuff somewhere. So I don't know. I want to hear from you guys. What you. I mean, now there's more of you on. I started this live stream with a very specific question, and that's hey Ace, how's it going? Who else is here? Tenenbaum. Congratulations for winning a sticker pack over at Canoe Hound tonight. But it's a question I ask myself a lot. If I was to sit down and write the story of my bushcraft journey up until today, up until March the 3rd, 2020, what would the first 5 chapters be? And that's what I want to ask you guys. What would your first 5 chapters be? It's not the end of the story, right? No book is 5 chapters long. A book that's 5 chapters long is a children's book. If it's even that. Look, we're all on a different bushcraft or outdoors journey than anyone else we know. Some journeys are similar, absolutely. But we're all I was about to say we're very unique. That makes no sense. You're either unique or you're not. We're all unique. Our stories are all our own. Everyone's walking around in the starring role of their own movie, really. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Well, welcome to the stream. Outdoor says, I should have seen the outdoor cooking that took place this past weekend at Meat Rock. I'm pretty sure that would have been more bacon and steak than even I could enjoy. Hey, Tyler. Anyways, so what do you guys think? What would your first 5 chapters be? I'm not going to necessarily write this story of my 39. If I listen to Steely Dan, yeah, I've listened to Steely Dan. Tyler, somewhere around here, my phone has been buzzing for the past long time, and I figure that's you guys trying to tell me something, but I'm not sure where it is. So if you could just text me one more time and see if it's actually on this table somewhere, that would be great. But yeah, I feel the itch to write something. I'm just not sure what. Thank you. I do all these live streams with a bunch of my bushcraft tools sitting off camera, just in case somebody wants to talk about a knife or an axe or something. There we go. Okay. There we go. Excuse me. Yeah, so I got all this stuff around me just in case. I also have a recent issue of Canadian Geographic because there's like a quiz in it. I was wondering if maybe I could ask you guys a couple of questions off the quiz, but then I was like, wait a minute. That might be a copyright infringement, and then I might get demonetized or something. We wouldn't want that to happen now, would we? Would we? Page 37. Maybe I'll ask like one question. These are all Canadian questions, though, so it's not really fair. There's no Grand Canyon questions in this or anything like that, you know? So is that really fair? In an international audience, is it fair to ask questions from the Ultimate Canadian Geography Quiz? Likely not. But I'm just going to leave it open to here, just in case things get really boring and I decide to live a little dangerously. Bacon, breakfast sausage, Italian sausage, hot sausage, pork chops, steaks, beef, tenderloin, scrapple, whatever that is, shrimp and cream cheese stuffed jalapenos, wrapped in bacon, 3 kinds of kielbasa. Oh my God, that's a lot of meat. Who's got beer? I got a beer that I'm not sure if I'm going to like, but I'm looking forward to trying it. Tyler says that I should let you guys take the quiz. This is Marin. It is a stout au Algue de Gaspésie. Wait, get the condensation off the glass. It's off the can. It's a kelp stout from the Gaspé. Estuaire is the name of the brewery. Where is Estuaire? I see. It's by Oshlag. So it's actually made here in Montreal, but it's Gaspésian kelp. It's a 4.4%, so it's a slightly light beer. It's a 473 ml. And let's see if I can. Hey, Brother Love. Let's see if I can pour it without, getting suds everywhere. It's too bad Serge isn't online yet. I know that he would. Outdoor, we packed out about 12 to 15 pounds of raw meat, and that never got cooked. Wow, okay. Man, you guys were like going for the carnivore magic that weekend. Well, it's called Meat Rock, right? All right, kelp stout. Let's do it. I'm excited about this. If this sucks, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. I'm going to be taking it personally. Crap. Let's just put this aside for now. I don't have the skill. Bush Ice. All right, 39. 39's drinking with me. Simone, how's it going? Gonna discuss if the Queen Mum was ever hot after Jess gets. No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about. Well, that's not 3 inches. Yeah, it's a stout. It's a stout. I like my beer nice and dark. Nice and dark. Man, I have so many things here just in case. I got my knives. I got notebooks. I don't know why I got my wallet. I've got my Canadian belt knife just in case we got to do some batoning. I'm such a brat. Got my beautiful F1. Beautiful F1. It's not even beautiful, but I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful to me. Actually, that hit's going down pretty quick. I'm going to see if I can pour the rest of that beer. So, yeah. Ain't no one has engaged with my question to you guys tonight. Do I have to state it again? I want us all to talk about our bushcraft journeys. What's gotten us here. What we see taking us to the next level. Are you even looking for a next level, or are you very happy where you are? You know? I don't need no water filters. I just drink. Jaria, I don't care. I'm good. Minerals. I have a life straw. I also have that old what's that British one called? The guy did a TED Talk. Life proof, life something. But it's years and years old, and I have to replace all the filters and everything in it. Tyler's looking to homestead. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. Outdoor says, you can't baton the Cold Steel CBK. What are you gonna troll me now? All right, let's see. Kelp Stout. What I'm hoping for is something a little briny and just a whiff of the ocean. That is weird, guys. Oh, there it is. I wish there was a little more salt water in there, though. Brother Love started with beavers and cubs, and then a scout leader when you were 19. Then you moved to the mountain town. It really opened your eyes to the possibilities. If you started with beavers, here's a question, because I was in beavers too, but I didn't know if they had beavers in the States or the UK or something, or if that was a Canadian-only thing. Oh, you can really smell the kelp if you, stick your nose over it. Got a real nice seaweed smell to it, but the taste is letting me down a bit. I'll be honest with you. It's letting me down just a little bit. At the back of at the back of my tongue now, there's a bit of salt happening. Not enough though. Not enough. Nick and I would like property in the next 5 years or so. Wow. You guys are young. Man, if you guys grab some property within the next 5 years, that would be really cool. Cheers, Woodshop and Outdoors. How's it going? Excuse me. Outdoor, your next step is carving. Okay. Yeah, that's legit. Are you looking at spoon carving and cups, or are you thinking of something a little more ambitious? Actually, cups are pretty ambitious, man. I've carved one kuksa, and it was terrible. Your main drive was learning knots and splicing. Nice. No, it doesn't smell like fish. There is a kelpy smell, and it's like there's an what's an arrière-goût? An aftertaste, sort of an oily aftertaste happening at the back of my mouth, but it's sort of letting me down. It's not what I was hoping for. When I saw kelp stout, I was like, oh yeah, bring the salt water, baby. I'll meet you. I'll be there for it, but that's not the kind of beavers we're talking about. No, it's not bad. It's okay. So, Outdoor, your next step in your bushcraft journey is to be cooking. Not cooking. Carving spoons and kuksas. Yeah, that's a good next step to have. I started spoon carving because Bushcraft USA made me think that it was kind of like a Bushcraft 101 skill. Like if you're going to Bushcraft, you got to know how to carve a spoon. Because Bushcraft, you know? But I don't know if that's true. I know I enjoy doing it whenever I get the time. I know I've got an axe back there that's specially designed for it. 2 axes back there specially designed for it, both of which are Swedish. But I don't know if it really is a Bushcraft 101 skill or not. Yeah, we'll just stand at the border and throw cans back and forth at each other. So Tyler's next step is actually not really bushcrafty. He wants to homestead, which I would love to do too, to be honest with you. I mean, if we're talking straight, I would definitely make a try at homesteading if I had the time. You know, I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years, 3 years, well, 2.5 ish. So it's getting a little late for me to be restarting in that kind of way, you know? Whereas some people who are starting at Tyler's age, you've got all kinds of time ahead of you. Like Wrangler Star started way younger than I am. He's still younger than I am. You know, they worked their arses off, you know, dumped everything and went and got a homestead, you know? But I don't, you know, I sort of hint every now and again at how trapped I am in my life. And I just have to accept that certain options are not ever going to be open to me. And that's one of them, you know. Complicated enough, monsieur. See that Jerry's got more of a prepper wooden spoon. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's what a lot of bushcraft carving is, right? It's notches, it's like tent pegs and stuff like that. Carving a spoon or especially a cook set, that's a whole different ball of wax. Oh, brother love, you're headed to solar and wind school. Yeah, man, I would love to solar and wind equip this house. I would love to. My plan is to eventually do the garage when it's set up as a workshop, sort of as a proof of concept, and then do the house. I don't foresee us getting off grid because you have to live a lot more carefully than I think my family would have the patience for. But if we can just chop our hydro bill down by a lot, that'd be good enough. Simone, he was kidding. Oh, and he says so. But I, you know, because I don't even know what my next step is. I know what my next step is, actually. It's going to be canoeing. I was just talking to Martin, Pine Martin, last night. We were sort of, man, I look fat tonight. Oh, it's embarrassing. I was just talking to Martin yesterday because I realized I was watching The Path of the Paddle, the Bill Mason, one of the Bill Mason movies that he did for the National Film Board. The one where it's like he's demonstrating several paddling techniques, and you get sort of the lines appearing in the water to show, you know, how he's holding the paddle. And I realized that I've been saying, man, I haven't been in a canoe for like 25 years. My J stroke is really rusty. I didn't even learn it properly. You know, I look back and it's just, you know, some Air Force officer who's taking the cadets on, you know, in the bush. It's like, okay, you got to teach them the J stroke. What? This is what it is. Okay. And what he was actually, you know, I don't remember which officer it was. It might not have been he. Anyway, what I was actually taught was the goon stroke. You know, where you start coming, you go, "Argh!" Like, yeah, you use the gunnel for the leverage. And so it's funny that all this time I thought, man, oh, it's not like riding a bike, man. My J stroke is terrible. I haven't even been doing a J stroke. I've been doing the goon stroke, which isn't as good a stroke. Some people are okay with it, but like the goon stroke, anyways. All this to say that my next step, I have 2 next steps I want to take. Due to money, they won't happen at the same time. It'll either be winter camping or canoeing. It will be the next one. They're both expensive as hell, which is why I'm saying I'll take the one that I can afford first, you know? Neither of them are going to be this year. Well, here's the thing. I can rent a canoe. I can get into, you know, I can do some canoeing. Winter camping, it's too late for this year. But even if I'm going to someone else's camp, like someone else's tent, there's some stuff I gotta have. You know? So, hold on. I don't care. Well, I'm not looking to sell back to Hydro Quebec. I'm looking to reduce my bill and play with solar. What I'd like to wait for is the panels to have, because right now to bring up the efficiency, you've got panels that have a mix of silicon and whatever that stuff is that sounds like it was discovered by a Russian guy. Because silicon is good at sort of the lower light frequencies, and this other stuff that I don't remember is really good at the high. I don't remember what it's called. But they're really tweaking the panels. So, you know, if you can get up to in the efficiency in the 30s rather than sort of the low 20s, then I think it becomes very, very interesting. Are you asking about my carving axes, Jerry? I got see right back there. Hold on. Serge is here. How's it going? I think he might be asking about my carving axes. Gransfors Brooks, Swedish carving axe. Great axe. Heavy, but very good carving axe for the first phase where I'm doing the blank. I'm wailing on a log to get it down to, like, you know, blank sized. This one I haven't used yet. This one is replacing my previous smaller axe. This is the Yulia Kaltov axes. She is most famous still for having been the CEO of Wetterlings when she was, like, still in her 20s. I know I'm going to love this axe. The feel of it, it just sits good in the hand. It's light. It's sort of, it's whippy. It's agile. Can't wait to get it into action. This is a symmetrical grind, which I'm not doing a very good job of showing. Whereas the Swedish carving axe I have is the right-handed grind. It's a side axe, essentially. Think of a very fancy hewing axe. Another exciting axe I have is this council tool. Camp carver. Gorgeous axe. Hardened pole. I cannot wait to. I have not allowed myself to use this axe until I do a video about it, because this was given to me by someone at Council Tool to do a video on, and unfortunately I haven't done a video since December because I've been trying to be all family first for the first part of this year. I was supposed to go and shoot some vid this past weekend, but I stayed in bed all Sunday with tummy fires, which is too bad. I'm very disappointed about that. Aside from that, those guys right there are 2 Wetterlings forest axes. somewhere around here I have a grants for a small forest axe. I do love the axe. I love the axe. Where are we? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone here. Serge. Hi, Serge. It wasn't 3 inches of head. It was like 2. Oh, yeah. If you do, I want to see video, man. I want to see vid. I want to know everything. I would love to take up axe making, but I've never done any smithing. And I don't. It's just another one of those things that I would love to try to do, but I probably won't really be getting into at any point. Thing is, there's so much to do. There's so many things I'm interested in. Like the winter camping that I mentioned. Dying to try it. Dying to have a good setup. Dying to have a piece of land where I can just go and be by myself with a camera. Bring a friend for a little bushcraft weekend. Go camping with my daughter. The 8-year-old, not the 1-year-old, because the 8-year-old is very into that. The 1-year-old, who knows? But I'm not bringing a 1-year-old with wicked food allergies into the bush. And the canoeing, I want to be able to say I'm a paddler. I want to have canoe camping as a viable option for what are we going to do in 3 weekends? You want to go camping? Let's strap the canoe on the car, go camping? Yeah, okay. That's what I want. I sort of wanted for a long time. I've always been, it's funny, Pine Martin, he called me a romantic about canoeing, and I think he's right. I've been in love with canoeing because of the strident Canadian aspect of it. Because of the magic moment, a moment that can stretch to a whole entire day of that sound. You're just skating across the water, the little splish of your oar, one-sided oar. I'm not into the kayaking. I do a lot of kayaking. I'm not against kayaking. It's just, to me, the canoe is not a double-ended paddle. The gestalt is wrong. The gestalt is one-sided paddle. J stroking, or even goon stroking your way across a river or a lake or something. Hold on. Tyler's gonna be making axes too. Man, Tyler, you're unstoppable. Jerry says you can make a great tomahawk. Axes shouldn't be much different. Huh? You're already making hawks, eh? That's cool. I don't own any hawks. I've never owned a hawk. If you manage to get geared for winter camping, make sure you have a hot tent. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You're right. I should have clarified that I don't mean cold tenting. The only winter camping I've ever done has been cold tenting, but that was back with the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. To me, I would want the hot tent experience. Absolutely. I very much want that experience. Spent 20 years just summer camping, but in the winter, good sleeping bag and lots of tea. Not anymore. Now you have the canvas. Oh yes, you've been cold tenting. Man, there's some interesting stuff happening in this side chat, guys. I would think that a fillet knife is tough because it has to be flexible. I think Brother Love gets it. There's a rhythm to canoeing with one-sided paddle that is kind of unbeatable. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that's what my next chapter will look like, I think. To go back to the question that I opened with, that's if I was to write my bushcraft journey until now, the first 5 chapters, I don't know what they would look like. I don't know what the next 5 look like either. I know where I want the next 1 or 2 to go. But like I don't know what the story is. I I can't nail down the story of what got me here. All I see are disparate events. I have a hard time drawing the overarching narrative together. And that's interesting because I can tell the story of what started me down the path of being the person I am today, who is crazy about carbon footprint and who wants to save the world. I can tell you some stories about early, car camping experiences, um, almost getting crushed by a boulder while bouldering across a river in Golden Ears Park, having a tent knocked down on me one summer by a bear in Manning Park. But all I have are the little stories. It's hard to draw it together in one story arc. I'm asking you guys what your first 5 chapters would look like, because I'm wondering if I'm alone in that, or if we're all just sort of living moment by moment, and we never really stop to think about Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 kind of thing. Oh, my mouse. Oh, come on. Work with me, mouse. I'm trying to see people's messages. Whoa, outdoor. You camped in 14 Fahrenheit this past weekend with a plow point tarp. I hope you had a good sleeping bag, mister. I hope you had a good sleeping bag, mister. I do hope. I have a fairly good sleeping bag. I don't have one of those minus 40 bags, though. Those real deep winter bags. I'd like to get one of those at some point. Mike Morton's got one, but it cost him $1,000. I don't have $1,000 for a sleeping bag. I don't have $1,000 for anything right now. And I'm out of beer. Okay, Tyler wanted some quiz questions, so I'm going to throw you guys a bone here. Oh no, it's photographic questions. All right. Just let me check something here. How many questions do we have? Wow. How many questions do we have? Holy crap, dude. 25. Okay. All right, let me see. Question number 4. Which province contains North America's largest inland river delta? Here's a picture. Piss. It's so right here. Okay, that's North America's largest inland river delta. And you got your choices are Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, or Alberta. What province does that look like, guys? North America's largest inland water delta. And someone's actually talking about his chapters. Simon, First chapter: jump freight trains to go camping when you were a teen. Nice. Serge has some cool teen camping stories too. He did it right as well. There's always the hope, brother love. There's always the hope. Gotta have a huge fire when you're in minus 14 Fahrenheit. Oh, okay. That MSS sleeping system shows up everywhere, man. Heavy though. Otherwise, I would spend the money on one. I don't even remember what I asked him. But we got a gas. But no, not Manitoba. Which I would have thought as well, actually. Talking about your real bushcraft journey, not your Fallout bushcraft journey. I think I have tea around here somewhere. There it is. Right. Wow, man. Because it's all mirrored and everything, I can't. Okay, so. Oh, I've still got some. It's not kelpy enough. I'm still going to finish it, but I don't think I'll be buying it again. It's too bad. Such a letdown. Such a letdown. I should have brought scotch down. That would have made up for the lousy beer. Slanja. £10. Crumbs. Yeah, man. I like it. And you've been stoked about survival skills ever since. Yeah, good, man. I like it. No, Simone, I do not need more kelp right now. North America's largest inland water delta is actually in Alberta. Question 5. When this volcano erupted in 1980, ash fell on British Columbia and Alberta and may have been carried as far as Manitoba. A. Mount St. Helens. B. Mount Baker. C. Mauna Loa. And D. Mount Rainier. Rainier? I'm pretty sure I know what mountain that is. It's not in Canada, but I mean, I'm just going by the date. 1980, massive volcano explosion hitting Alberta and BC with ash. I'm sure I know what that is. Let's take a look. Anyone going to make a guess? Yep. Tenenbaum, you are right. Mount St. Helens. Moved into Bush Taka. Now into building your old world skills for self-sufficiency. Yeah, man, I like it. I do like it. Yes, Mount St. Helens is right, you guys. You guys. No, I bet I know what the answer to that is. Hold on, let me check. These questions are not that interesting. I was expecting these to be better. Okay, number 11. What did miners name this mountain, now a centerpiece of a famous Yukon park? A, the Monster. B, Cemetery Hill. C, Doom Peak. Or D, Tombstone Mountain. Burning goals as in stuff you really want to add into your skill set, or burning goals as in fire start, like a skill pertaining to fire starting? Because one of my burning goals is to just keep improving my knots and my hitches. I've been working on it. But like, I'll work and I'll work and I'll work, and then I won't do anything for weeks, and then I'll work and work and work. It's it's not a good way to improve your skills. Just dropping it for large chunks of time. It's just not a good way to improve your skills. Oh, like an actual strong desire. Yeah, for me, it's knots. I want to improve my plant ID in a massive way. By the way, hi, avid outdoorsy guy. How's it going? I have that issue sometimes too. More often than not, no. That's a lie. Fairly often, no. I'll be sitting and then I'll wake up like 3 hours later, and my neck hurts, and like my back is kind of oh, okay, I gotta go to bed. Yeah. Outdoors answering the question too. His first chapter: got your first pocket knife at age 5 and learned how to sharpen it and take care of it. Yeah, it's funny how a lot of people get their first knives really, really young, and I never had one. I was never given a pocket knife. And it seems weird to say that, but, hippie parents didn't do any of that stuff, I guess. That's a good burning goal. Yeah, plant ID, knots. Plant ID, knots. Because the whole canoeing thing, it's coming. It's going to come. It's I've already started saving for my canoe. I have plans to get started before buying my canoe. Because here's one thing: if you're waiting to buy gear to start developing a skill, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it absolutely wrong. Big bore or steel before you. In fact, it's best to, because the canoe I'm looking to buy is a few $1,000s. I want to deserve it by the time I finally get it. I don't just want to. I'm not one of these people who buys a high-end tool that he doesn't know how to use. I like to practice and get my skills up to par, kind of thing, and then reward myself. Why, I've been playing bass since I was 15 or 16, and I only really bought myself that wickedly expensive Sadowski at the age of 40, partly to congratulate myself for getting to the age of 40. But Kijiji, a cheap ass canoe for the family, before getting my real expensive one, essentially begging any kind of lesson off of any good canoeist who I know. Maybe taking some courses. I kind of want to do the Madawaska courses, but I kind of think that they're only whitewater, and I want to start with flat water. Madawaska is expensive as hell. Tenenbaum, chapter 1 for you would be summer camp. I think for me, that's probably what chapter 1 was as well. And it's funny because I used to hate going to camp. Couldn't stand it. It wasn't about being, in the woods. It was about being surrounded by other kids and feeling the need to be social and being forced into team sports and stuff that my hippie ass parents never, ever made me do. It was like I was thrown into this existence that I didn't know how to deal with. And I think that I would have been able to negotiate that a lot better if I had been put into soccer or whatever at home. So that wasn't something so completely foreign. And so the last time I went to summer camp was on the condition that I'd never have to go again. And then I joined the Air Cadets and actually wanted to go to camp. It was my mother was like, "What? You want?" It's funny. And cadets is where I got my first canoeing experience. It's where I got my first survival weekend experience. It's funny. I'm just remembering these things. Avid. All right. Yeah. Simone's first pocket knife was a buck 110. I still have not ever owned a buck knife. I've owned some Swiss Army knives, a couple of other things, but I've never had like a buck branded knife. Yeah, Tannenbaum. That sounds good, eh? Yeah. But it's funny because everything started moving me towards the outdoors as an interest when I was like 15 ish. So when I was young and being sent away to summer camp, I wasn't taking advantage of it. I wasn't enjoying it for what it was. I was just sitting there like, why am I surrounded by other kids who want me to play on teams? I wasn't in touch with how much better camp always smelled than the city, Tyler just told me there's a relevant message on Signal. So even though I'm trying not to look at my phone while I'm on camera, hold 1 second. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry about this. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm just sending something to Mr. Autocorrect is going to kill me. It is absolutely going to kill me one day. I'm going to have a coronary, and then I'm not going to be able to watch my kids graduate, and it'll be all Apple's fault. FF 5 J I W 4. Tell me if that works, Tyler. Oh my land. Guys, look at all. Look at all that meat. Look at all that meat. That's like, is the object of Meat Rock to just get together and cook meat? Is that what Meat Rock's all about? Because that sounds, because it's called Meat Rock. So my brother got a Swiss Army pocket knife at age 8 or 9, and I badly wanted one. Got your first one at roughly the same age, and you felt the need to make good use of it. Yep. I would as well. Oh, Avid. Oh, that's a bit of a heartbreak, eh? It's funny because we sort of have kind of the same issue with Camille, because she's in a number of activities and she just wants to try everything. And it's like, there aren't enough nights in the week, kiddo. There aren't enough days in the weekend. We have to sort of draw back a little bit. Sales just saying terrible things on Signal. But yeah, we're all still writing our bushcraft story, right? We're all still doing stuff. Like Avid, your story is really cool. You know, you're doing all kinds of cool stuff. I envy you guys who are like, Tyler, where's your camera? Hold on, I gotta put headphones on.
Don't do anymore, man.
Where's your camera, man?
My camera doesn't work. I tried to troubleshoot it.
Well, you know, it's funny because the reason I'm sitting here instead of at my desk is because I could not get my big computer to recognize this camera tonight for some bizarre reason. And I was, what's going on? So with 6 minutes to spare, I just gave up, unplugged camera, mic, blah blah blah, ran in here, threw the computer down, plugged everything in, and like, okay, let's go.
Damn, son, that's big annoying.
Yeah.
No, you asked the first 5 chapters question, and I thought it warranted like a at length response because that's a good question, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't just succinctly in a chat with what 250 characters, something like that, tell you my first 5 chapters of how bushcraft happened because it's a big part of my life.
Yeah, I pick up on that every time we talk. That you're living way more steeped in it than I am. I would love to be living more steeped in it, but
I want tea, honey. Can you start the teapot? Thank you. She's awesome. Okay, so my chapter 1 was a book thing. You and I have talked about this almost at length. But I think the key for the books for me in chapter 1 was the fact that it romanticized it. You know, a young impressionable mind can have a lot done to it by a good book. And the fact that there were so many of those not only made available to me, but given to me, made bushcraft at least romanticized in my head. And then, you know, you go from reading about things from whatever entertainment you are as a kid to playing them. I use the phrase playing bushcraft a lot, kind of jokingly, but also kind of seriously, because every time I get out, that's kind of what I feel like I'm still doing.
Yeah.
You know, playing bushcraft as far as, you know, getting one tiny little piece of gear at a time or something like that. But the key is I had more knowledge than gear. You know, I'm like scouring every source available to me for bushcraft knowledge, and just kind of enjoying the experience of doing the thing, kind of. You know,
and for people who haven't heard us blither on about this book, tell the people what it's called.
Oh, My Side of the Mountain by Gene Craighead George. I have like 4 copies of it. I will give someone one if they would like one.
I'll take one because I've been planning to Amazon it. It's open in front of me right now. In fact,
We'll send it with the rest of your care package.
It's not actually that expensive a book. It's $11 Canadian.
Or you could have it for free along with the rest of the care package. So,
okay, but I'm saying that for the benefit of the people who are watching, because that's kind of I don't know if you really call it a classic, but it's a book that people have read, shall we say?
It's it feeds the red-blooded. I want to go, hunt and trap my food and make my clothes from deerskin kind of vibe.
Yeah, it very much does.
Everyone deserves to have fed. That's a great vibe to feed.
Yeah.
Good aesthetic. It wholesome almost. The fact that it's a very unique book in that there's no real conflict. If you really try to analyze it, there just isn't one. Not really, anyways. I mean, kind of, you know, the main character doesn't like living in New York and there's all that, but most of it is just him doing outdoorsy stuff. And for some reason, us guys like it. Okay, so chapter 2 was the I'm scouring everything for knowledge.
I just want to say goodnight to Avid Outdoorsy Guy. It's always great having you hanging out with us, man. Have a good sleep. And also, Outdoor is telling us his second chapter we scouts, third chapter with growing up on 7 acres of wooded ground with access to another 100.
Holy shnikes.
Okay.
Another 100. All right. Well,
you'd also take a copy of the book if you're willing.
Yeah, Dauber, hit me in Signal. Just with your address, I'll put it in the mail.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, you have no idea. Chickadee just brought me this fat fudgy brownie slice, and I am so happy about it.
Okay. So for tonight, what I made some bison steaks, some green beans with onions and a shallot. I mean, a real shallot. I don't mean scallions. What I guess you guys would call a French shallot. And some rice and like sauce and everything. And we were eating. And we finished. And I was like, now I kind of want dessert. And she said, crap, I was going to pick up cake on the way home. I was like, you were going to pick up cake? What? When was the last time we had cake? She said, yeah, I know, but for fun. Because we used to get together. We were both like skinny as whips. Okay. We were working on our feet all the time. We were working at Starbucks. So we were just like go, go, go all the time. So on the weekends, when we just started dating, we would each have like a 1 liter bottle of some sparkly water, and we would buy a cake and watch a movie or something. And over the course of the weekend, finish the damn cake.
Oh, hell yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And she was like, I was going to pick one up for old time's sake. I'm like, you're breaking my heart, woman. But anyways, yeah. So good on you and Nick for the brownie slice.
It's a really thick slab too. It's about 1.5 inches thick. We cooked it in a greased round glass pan, and way thicker than it needed to be. So I mean, like this is like cheesecake thickness, but it's made of brownie.
In for a penny, in for a pound, eh?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. All right, chapter 3. So chapter 2 was doing the whole more knowledge than time or equipment thing, as we all do. You kind of start your deep dive into the books and the sources, a shit ton of Dave Canterbury and Boy Scout manuals, of which I've had 2. I killed the first one from use. It was wonderful. Good saying. A library that is falling apart reveals a mind that is not. I love it, because it's true. Okay, so chapter 3 is the first attempt stage that I kind of went through, and I think everyone will understand at least once I get into this. It's the time you give everything the good first try.
Yeah.
Feather sticking is a huge one. I remember that one pretty well. And along with feather sticking came sharpening, and I was like, why can't I make feather sticks? My feather sticks are shit. And it was like, oh, you need to learn to sharpen because your edge is also shit.
Yeah.
Feather sticking, sewing, shelters, sharpening, fire. Fire was dope. Fire is kind of the last important first, I think, at least for me. Fire was really hard. Yeah, apparently not for you, because first try on the flint and steel. I've seen that video, you bastard.
That was like beginner's luck, though.
Okay, but you can still do it, is the thing. It's not beginner's luck if you can still do it.
Fair enough.
But the thing about chapter 3 is it destroys the know-it-allness of the well-researched indoorsman.
Okay.
And that was the big important thing for me, was having my know-it-allness like just torn down to gravel.
Yeah, and we all need that to happen before we can really start developing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's how you learn. That's how you learn to learn, I guess. And that's important. You need that. For me, it was chapter 3, whatever chapter it might be for you. Everyone needs that chapter, I think, to really learn to love bushcraft or learning at all.
Yeah, because you got to get broken down to build yourself back up. You got to think you got this real squared away, and then have everything fall apart on you, and and then have it start to really work, because then you know what it's like for this stuff to not work. Right? That's when, wow, okay, I started this fire and I wasn't able to do that until now. I thought I could, but I couldn't. Now I can.
That's important.
It's massively important.
I like to think of it this way. It might make less sense for you this way or more. Just fill it up. But I think of it, you don't really understand a machine until you've broken it down into its constituent parts. And that's how it felt for me. You reach that know-it-all stage, and you think like you said, oh, I've got this, and then you go and do it, and you're shite. That is you getting broken down into your constituent parts because you just don't pay attention right until you have to pay attention for hours, and it's frustrating to make something work.
Yeah.
Chapter 3 was hunting. That's beautiful. What a good chapter 3.
I think for me, hunting was chapter 5, and I'm terrible at it. Absolutely terrible.
Okay. So yeah, that was chapter 3. Breaking down the know-it-all indoorsman.
And that I would call probably around chapter 3 or 4 for me as well. I think that it was. I'm a person who has always read a lot, and when you're someone who reads a lot, it's very easy to slip into the belief that reading is where the learning happens, and that's only half the equation. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Reading's like the impetus for me.
Yeah, it's where when you get your hands dirty, you get your hands in there, and you're working on stuff. That's where. And by the way, reading or these days YouTube, right?
Yeah, sure.
It could be you could be YouTubing everything. For instance, I have
Gathering
YouTube
data.
I have YouTube how to make a tontalduous, and I've been
what?
tontalduous. It's a South African fire kit. So I bought this to finally make one when I get some time because I want to see if I can make one, and I'm pretty sure I can. It looks not hard. You just got to have some tools and you got to have some time. Time is my biggest problem right now. Time is what is killing me right now. Time is why I still don't have that freaking knife sheath made for Camille. Time is why that pipe is sitting there instead of on this bench that I've finally finished. Time is why,
by the way.
Yeah, it's a great bench. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to, oil it. Every week I'm like, right after that live stream, I'm oiling the bench. Every week, the live stream's over and I'm like, I gotta go to bed now,
I feel that.
Time.
All right. Chapter 4. Learning. So chapter 4 is where you've already been torn apart in chapter 3. Your constituent parts have shown you two things. A, you are a shite bushcrafter. 2, you are capable of learning to not be a shite bushcrafter.
Yeah.
And then all that learning happens. So chapter 4 is that learning for me and kind of the application. So learning fundamentals, and then the first time you smooth it the right way in nature.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
I still remember the night clear as day in my head. Okay. And it was magical. If I'll read my notes first and then I'll get into the story. Applying strong fundamentals and seeing the beauty in a smooth, self-sufficient lifestyle, or at the very least, outdoorsman lifestyle, where you're out in the woods, even if it's not all the time. If you weren't addicted before, you sure as hell are now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's smoothing it that first time is like, I don't know, the crack cocaine of seeing someone attractive to you for the first time, but for bushcraft.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
You just, it's a different kind of heart pumping excitement, and then you can't quit because you're always thinking about it. And that's what chapter 4 feels like. Is okay, I've got the skills, I've been broken down, I've figured out how to learn, and then you apply it for the first time and something works, and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. That's chapter 4 for me, but chapter 5 is the best part, man. So first of all, before I get to 5, let them stew on it. What was your 4 like? What was it like for you?
I'm thinking that 4 is probably for the longest time I had the hardest. It was horrible trying to use a ferro rod on straight up natural tinder. Great with fire, tar cloth. Great with, if you've sort of roughed up jute twine and brought it with you, kind of thing. But I was just like, I would be on natural stuff, and it just wouldn't work. And in fact, I did an early video on that, just trying to start a fire and saying, guys, what am I doing wrong? And I got some really good feedback. But the first time I put a bunch of natural stuff together and like, okay, let's try again. And it worked. I felt about 7 kilometers tall, because that was sort of my version of what you're talking about. Because I never had that much difficulty with the flint and steel. I never had that
Canadian.
Because, and we're all primitive, right? But man, ferro rod, I had a much harder time with when it was go time, and I needed to learn to use the ferro rod on natural tinder, because the whole gestalt of the flint and steel, right? The flint and steel universe happens on something like charcloth or amadou or something, right? You don't do flint and steel into a pile of like feathers or shavings and stuff, right? You use a ferro rod into that stuff, and I needed to get that. I needed to add that ability into my toolkit, and I needed to be able to do it with found materials, because that's where the power of the ferro rod happens. Because if all I'm ever using is, a ball of raw jute or charcloth or charred punkwood or something, then there's no reason for me to ever leave the magic of the flint and steel. It's my favorite system. I love the aesthetic of it. I love the ancientness of it. And if I'm not ever going into, like, I've roughed up a bunch of bark, made some shavings, blah, 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 light that bitch, there's no reason for me to use the ferro rod.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
You wanted to be the user who actually made the tool powerful, and I think that's important.
Bingo, exactly.
There's a difference between having a tool make up for your shite abilities. Like, have you seen the lightning strike ferro rods? It's like a spring-loaded little doohickey. I mean, those are good, but that's an example of the tool making the person useful.
Yeah.
Someone who can take the back of a knife they decided to grind on a piece of sandstone and, rock out a fire from a shite ferrocerium, mish metal rod from God knows where, is a different person than the person who uses a lightning strike every single time. And I think you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
And it's a good chapter 4 to have, though. You gotta, like you said, it doesn't make sense to not do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If the point is being able to do the thing when it matters.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to have the chapter 4, because then you get like crack cocaine addicted to this stuff, and it's the best part.
Yeah, it really is. I just, before we go any further, there are 2 messages in the side that I want to point out. Brother Loves, that reminds me of a challenge I set myself to split a log with wood and make planks. I made the wedges and split it. I was elated. Yeah, I still haven't succeeded at that. And here's Tenenbaum's next few chapters. Totally different than ours, but these are epic chapters. Canoe guiding was chapter 2. Trail building was chapter 3. Tree planting chapter 4. A lot of Quebec youth end up tree planting out west every summer. I don't know how it was for you. Then chapter 5, volunteer ranger. All of those are way outside my experience, and so I think kudos to you for having such a different series of chapters than mine. Hey, Fox. How's it going?
Chickadee has brought me tea. Hello, Fox at Outdoors. Oh, RV Kids TV's here.
RV Kids TV's here, too.
Look at that. Yeah. Look at you being famous. You're up to 11 right now. That's wild.
11, man. I like it. For those of you who are just joining, what we're talking about, before we get to Tyler's next chapter, I threw out this question, second one of this live stream, and it took a while for it to start picking up. And it was just something I was musing on for myself and for everyone else, that if you were hypothetically to write the book of your story of bushcraft up until now, I don't mean the whole thing, because we're not at chapter end right yet. What would your first 5 chapters be? Because of the fact that everyone's bushcraft story is so different, even if it's kind of similar in some ways, you know? So that's what we're talking about. Feel free to fire your first 5 chapters down in the chat. What we were talking about was I'm thinking my first chapter was car camping with the family. Chapter 2 was maybe as a beaver scout. Chapter 3 maybe as a cadet. My chapters, I haven't figured out really if my chapters would really be chronological or skills based. And what I'm picking up from Tyler is that his are skills based.
That's the only way I can make them chronological.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. However you want to form your chapters, just make your outdoor life meaningful for you. Otherwise, you're doing it really wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So chapter 5, we finally arrived, man. So chapter 5 is important because right now is the point where I am. I finally understand the fundamentals and how and the application. The fundamentals, how they apply to actually doing the thing well enough to generate useful questions to the point where I have direction.
Yeah.
In the first 4 chapters, the big difference is you don't have direction. You are still trying to mull through all the basic questions, and you have not developed an outdoor personality, and that is a fact.
Yeah, you're still filling in your map, right? You start off as a blank page.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference. I like how you said filling in your map. I was kind of going to go there. There's a difference between someone who is exploring to put names and places on their map and someone who has worn in red circles on their map of places they absolutely love.
Yeah.
And everything's just coffee stained and ink stained. But one of them has developed their outdoor personality. Per se, they've been around their map enough to know what they like and how to do the things they like. The other person is still trying to develop. So chapter 5 is I finally have direction. The application of my fundamentals, yes, makes me proud. However, my questions are no longer trying to how do I do this? They are what do I want to do? That's my chapter 5. I know where I want to go, and that's homesteading for me. It's different for you. Right now, I think you said you wanted to do canoeing, and or winter camping, and you're satisfied with that. You've come to a point in your life where you know basically what your options are, and if something opens up, fantastic. But otherwise, you're resigned to be happy with most of it, which is a good thing. For me, my chapter 5 direction is I want to do the homesteading thing.
Yeah.
I want to kick my own ass for many, many years straight and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a call. Hold on, guys. Yeah, Tyler, just talk and entertain everyone.
All right.
Well,
I guess I'm entertaining everyone, so let's do the thing. Who wants to ask me weird questions?
Wait.
I know Simon's got like 5 or 6 of them.
So.
But okay. So my chapter 5, if I can talk over Jess well enough, my chapter 5 was important because finally getting a decent direction was pivotal enough for me that I could manage to enjoy bushcraft from a more mature point of view. Hi, welcome back to your live stream. I was talking about how chapter 5 was just relevant because I got to enjoy things from a more mature point of view. And I was going to go into an analogy. So when you first learn to hunt, I don't know how many of you get to hunt often, but at least where I am, there's show us your sewing machine repair. Simon, if my camera worked, I would.
Figure that out.
So when you first start hunting, a lot of it is just about being a successful hunter. You get to the bag limit stage, so they call it.
It's not that hard to get to the bag limit around here. Everything's 1.
Yeah, our bag limit's like 10, depending on your game, dude. There's a lot of things I can hunt a lot of. It's wonderful. But then you get to the point of, trophy hunting, bag limit, that kind of thing. But then you start to mature into, I want to see how nature is working. that's why I think chapter 5 matters so much to me, and why I kind of left it open ended, because I get to do that.
Yeah.
I guess I get to proudly say, I'm here to. Hi, Grace.
Hi,
Hello.
Grace.
I finally get to say I get to enjoy the outdoors in a mature, respectful, part of it way, not in it way.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah,
For me at
that's
least,
a big
that's
step.
really big.
Yeah, it's a very big step. Some people come to that step by realizing, by stopping, by, I'm not working with the grammar today, but by no longer sort of speaking of us and the animals, but us and the non-human animals kind of thing. I mean, it's sort of the other side of that. It's not the other side of that coin. It's not the opposite, but it's another facet to what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
And
But I mean, it's not final. I mean, that's at least in my opinion, like the everlasting stage, and you just get ever more specific with it.
Well, that's why I asked about the first 5 chapters, right? Because, as I said very early, in fact, before you were on, I think, nobody's book is only 5 chapters long, unless it's a short tragic tale.
Oof.
Like it's chapter 5 is sort of, even though I'm not as young as I once was, chapter 5 is sort of the middle of my story, I feel. And everything else I will take as I can. But my next 2 chapters, 6 and 7, will be winter camping and canoeing, I think. That's how I see things. But I kind of see myself getting to chapter 10. I just don't know what those other chapters are going to be just yet.
You'd like to die writing your 10th chapter?
I would love it.
That's funny. That's actually kind of a musical thing. Great composers tend to die after writing their masterwork, which is usually 9 or 10. Beethoven died at 9.
Beethoven died at 9.
I think Sibelius died writing 9. He never finished, which is sad, but whatever. You get over it. Bach is an exception. Bach died writing, like, I don't know, 2005, I think. I don't know how many numbers there are, but yeah. That's just funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, if I slip from this world halfway up the side of a mountain or in the middle of a lake while writing chapter 10, that's a good way to go.
Hell yeah.
That's a good way to go.
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. 1,128.
This conversation just got so dark.
Yeah.
What is up with us?
I don't know. I would happily die at 1,128. That's pretty dope. I mean, also he was 20 kids in, by the way. Man was busy. But why are we talking about Bach? Someone else get on StreamYard. I enjoy this long form conversation thing, but I'm already through my notes.
I'm posting the link to anyone who is interested in getting on and speaking about this subject. If you do come on, I just want to reiterate, like I do all the time now, stay on subject, and we don't talk about guns and politics. Okay.
I haven't put a gun in my politic in a long time.
Okay.
Sorry, I just started drinking tea. I don't know. Maybe. What did you put in my tea, honey?
What you put in my tea? There's some sarsaparilla in that there tea.
Dude, sarsaparilla is like the bottom of the food chain, at least around here.
I don't even know. I've never had sarsaparilla. I have no idea what it is.
It's alcoholic root beer.
Oh, it's alcoholic root beer. Okay, because around here, the only people who know what that is are like 80.
Yeah, no, sarsaparilla is so it's from sassafras. So root beer is the version of that shite brewed without sugar in it, so no alcohol production.
Okay.
Sarsaparilla is what happens when you put the sugar in beforehand. I think.
Why do you know this?
Because I wanted to make root beer once, dude. Why the heck don't you know this?
Because I've never wanted to make root beer. But
That's
now
lame.
I kind of do. How do you? Okay.
You really took that one right on the nose, man.
Wow, it wouldn't have occurred to me to make pop.
Well, but old-fashioned root beer, the same way ginger beer, they do it with yeast, but it's different.
Fair enough.
I haven't made root beer by my own self. I only ever helped make it, which was fun, by the way. It smells so good while you're
does it?
making it, just so
Nice.
you know.
Hey, Nick's on.
Oh my God! Hi, honey.
Here's the thing: you get that girl some headphones because I think Nick should be on. I think that
I'm gonna give you my AKGs.
You guys would probably make for an interesting live stream one day.
Give me 1 second.
Do 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 do. I will be right back, folks.
There's the channel takeover. All right. Who wants to help me steal his channel?
It's a show. Let's see it. Tyler, guess what?
What?
My wife just brought me tea.
Hell yeah, man.
Boom.
We're on roll.
Boom.
Good night. This is a good night for the stream.
This
11 people. People are bringing us tea.
We're getting tea. You're getting brownies. I'm not getting brownies, but I'm getting tea. I'm going to call that a win. I'm just putting the link down there again for in case someone wants to come on and tell the tale of their bushcraft development, their bushcraft story.
All right. While we wait for that, I guess I can tell the really frustrating tale of this stupid leather stitcher.
Okay.
Dude, I swore at this thing in 3 different languages. Screw this machine. Also, I love this machine because it works now, but screw this machine. Simo must have been on the phone with me for 2 hours, man.
Wait, before we go any further, hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, look at her. You're so cute.
Thank you.
Are you going to be all embarrassing now that she's finally on screen?
Yup.
Hi, honey.
Always.
That kind of thing.
I don't know. This could be interesting because she's not in the same area of bushcrafting as I am because she just started her, outdoor education, whatever you want to call it.
Are you on chapter 1 or 2 at this point?
Chapter 0, probably?
Nah,
if that's a thing.
Got a swinging axe yet?
I'm trying. It's not great, but I'm trying.
So we're working our way into chapter 1. Okay. Tyler was just talking about also his leather machine, which obviously you've seen in action.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid thing. She was there while I had it torn apart. I was mad. I swore a lot. There's a lot of swearing coming from the workroom that week.
Yeah, just a smidge. A little bit.
I don't know, but no, I had to take the whole thing apart. I greased everything in it, and then it kept getting caught on the bobbin, which is bad for a lock stitch machine. Because for a lock stitch machine, the way it works is it forms a loop around the bottom thread and pulls it tight. And that bottom thread is contained in the bobbin. So if your thread is hanging up around your bobbin, you can't make stitches.
Right, so it's not working.
Yeah, I was big pissed off. And so I was after this thing for, oh my God, 3 or 4 days, 8 hours a day. I ripped it apart, greased it, wouldn't work, ripped it apart, greased it again, wouldn't work, replaced parts, greased all of them, made a new handle because I needed something to make me not want to kill the machine or myself.
Right.
Greased it. That was when I signaled all of you guys about, oh my God, you can cast threads in JB Weld. So that was cool, but it's
working now though, right?
Yeah, it functions now. I found one slight adjustment that I had missed by literal tenths of a millimeter. And I was pissed, at least when I found it out, because then I made the adjustment and it worked flawlessly. And now it's really smooth. It's great. But that was a lesson in patience for me.
And for those of you listening, the reason why this is related to what we're talking about is because leatherwork is one of the pillars of bushcraft. People who aren't doing leatherwork know people who are doing leatherwork and are usually throwing them money for sheaths and stuff. You know, like
Or
every,
lessons.
you know, what, yeah. But like many of the tools we use have leather sheaths. Some people are using Kydex or whatever. I've got Zytel here because it's amazing in winter. But at the end of the day, a lot of traditional guys like me love them some leather stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Tyler starts pumping out now that machine's working fine. Not all of you know that Nick and Tyler are both makers extraordinaire. They're always just constantly making stuff. So people like me who have no time to make anything right now get really frustrated looking at, hey, look, I just made a whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting here.
Okay, but there's a difference. I mean, we make our stuff to sell it. She makes the absolute most wonderful scarves because I have a 10-foot one that she made custom for me that she's seen me wear a number of times because it's cold out. It's Michigan. And we make these things to sell them. We're making money. You are bushcrafting, and there's this curve that happens where there's this joke about DIYing where why would you buy a $20 object when you can make it for $130 in tools and supplies? That curve matches up with us because we make the money back. You're trying to justify the money.
Yeah. Yeah, and that sort of frees you up to actually buy better tools than I would allow myself to buy. Like my leather making stuff that I bought and still haven't used is basic. Because I'm not foreseeing myself making money as a leather producer anytime soon. It's not the kind of thing that I can justify throwing the money at. Maybe that's what my chapter 6 is, right? Getting back into making, because I used to make.
That'd be a hell of a chapter 6, man.
So maybe that's what my chapter 6 is. I don't think I will ever make spoons in that kind of way. That's always going to be the kind of thing. I have one sitting here for my mother-in-law that I carved like a month ago and I still haven't finished. It's 80% done. But this is something I don't want to do as a side hustle or as a business. They are way too expensive to buy if they're made by someone who sees this as a business. Like above and beyond what, like leather stuff can be really expensive, but it's not as hard to sell to convince someone that leatherwork should be expensive because it's always expensive. There are people taking the bottom out of the market by charging $25 for these.
For sure.
At $25, I'm making $1 an hour. No, $2 an hour kind of thing. Maybe $2 or $3 an hour. I mean, then it doesn't take me 10 hours to make a spoon, but it takes a few hours. If I'm going to charge $25, I may as well just not quit my day job, which I'm not planning to do anyway. But these take time, and it's a very niche market, and it's a market that is very much at the whim of what the current, I guess, style is. Like, for instance, I always sand my spoons smooth. And the most desirable spoons are not they're not sanded smooth. They're faceted. But outside the world of people who are into carved spoons, nobody wants a faceted spoon. So I don't do it.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a nice spoon, though.
Yeah, but sanding it is going to add like an hour or two on, right?
Sure.
So I'm not going to make these for sale because I'll never make my money back.
One thing I think Nick would be uniquely qualified to speak on is having skills out of necessity. So she does this thing that I still to this day find amazing, where she's able to chain together loops of plastic bags or trash bags and turn it into yarn and crochet with it with like this uber upcycled, basically free yarn that's pretty durable because those bags are HDPE, high density polyethylene. They kind of degrade in UV, but like you don't use them outside all the time. You know, you wouldn't. A lot of crocheted stuff isn't going to be in direct sunlight 24 hours a day.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I tend to use just like regular grocery bags from the grocery store, just then I don't have to worry about like having them just everywhere. Normally we'll just recycle them, but like if I have them, then sometimes I'll end up making like grocery bags that can fit up to, I think it's 2 gallons of milk in them. And so we just bring those to the grocery store, and it's a lot easier to carry and does not wear out as fast. So yeah.
Interesting.
It's so much less plastic in the landfill. Like I said, it continues to be magic to me because you've just turned at least 1,000, and I'm not kidding, at least 1,000 grocery bags, if you make a big one, into one long-lasting grocery bag that's a tote, and you don't put any of it into the landfill for a much longer time.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And in fact, Grace,
they're banning
her grandma
bags in Quebec anyway, so
bread bags works too. I find it a little more difficult to do bread bags just because I don't have that many bread bags, but yeah.
That's funny, Grace. My grandma used bread bags as boot liners.
Yeah, my family did too.
Regular grocery bags for us.
But I want to know, Nick, about your chapter 1. You said you're starting to learn about the axe, for instance, as your chapter 1. What is it that is making you interested to join this journey with Tyler?
I think I really want to be more self-sufficient because all of my life I've grown up not having like someone that will help me accomplish things and like keep me motivated to do and try new things. So like being around him, it's a lot easier to want to do new things. Like it doesn't even matter what it is. It's just constantly like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I want to learn how. And so I think that kind of has just like pushed me into this, but I also just like being outdoors and working with tools, and I always have, so
yeah,
I'm just finally getting the chance to.
I never told you this. Her and I put in a little shaker garden last summer, right? Yeah, I taught her how to split wedges and put in wood siding buried underground.
Oh, nice.
With linseed oil and tar. And we put in a little shaker garden, and it was successful. We grew things.
Doing it again this year?
Hell yeah, we're doing it again this year.
Oh, that's cool. I also want to say hi to Dr. Sharp. Good evening.
Yes,
hello, Dr. Sharp. Simon, you look like you have something to say.
Well, there's many things to say, but at the same time, there's nothing to say. Both with I do have many things in common with Jesse, Tyler, and Nick in different ways. I'm still a hacker, and whatever I'm going to do will be a hack in my life. I've been farming a bit. I've been bushcrafting when it wasn't the time, the right time, or wasn't trendy. But yeah, I've been through a couple of things and learned a few things here and there. I just joined the chat because Nick was there, but that's it.
Here's something that I'd like to throw out to you guys and the people in the side chat, because everyone on here, because I know this about you, Simone, I know this about me and Tyler and Nick, we're all basically curious people. And I'm wondering if a base curiosity is endemic to the bushcraft community, or if some people come at it through, the inquisitiveness and wanting to get to try stuff and enjoying the outdoors, and some people just come at it from sort of a balls to the wall, self-sufficiency, borderline prepper aesthetic. Because you're both.
I mean, I think all of them fit together, and it just the way that it works together is, I think, what brought me to it.
Because to me, the self-sufficiency interest came later, right? Because when
Mhm.
when you're growing up, and it's funny that that wasn't the first thing for me, because I grew up really shit eating poor,
Same.
like food basket level poor, and so like it still surprises me that that wasn't step one, that the curiosity was step one.
Mm.
But the self-sufficiency interest came later for me, as it started to look like it was available, you know
Right.
like that side of
Hi.
it didn't show itself right up front.
Hi, Canoe Hound.
Is Canoe Hound
um,
here? Hey,
yeah.
Yep.
Dennis, we're talking about our bushcraft journeys, where we started and where we are now, and
My
where
own
we
child,
see ourselves ending up.
yeah, my own childhood was a bit weird. Died when I was 7, and we were on the farm. Um, so uncles from both families stepped in to help us get through this. And since I was the oldest child, my 2 7, the other one kept the farm on her own, so we had to sell it. This being
Yeah,
said, she took every single opportunity to send my brother and I back to my uncle's farm to probably pay some debt in a way because we were free laborers.
hmm
But at the same time, I learned a lot. I learned to. I was
fix
probably
fences. I'm
9 or
sure.
well fencing. I was 9 or 10, and I was fencing on my own. And I mean by fencing a lot of fencing.
Yeah,
I don't know how many pickets I've replaced and straight up fences and put gates
right,
on and so on.
right.
Another bad job that I've done in the past was clearing uh, the pooping system in barns and then animal sheds.
Okay.
Uh, Maintenance had to be done, replacing bearings, replacing chains, and welding. I was welding at because my one of my uncle was so scared of getting up uh, the
Oh, is he
the
afraid of heights?
system.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and okay, just replace the motor and weld the brackets on. I'm 11 years old. I have no idea how to do it. You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah, being
Okay,
told you'll figure it out when it's welding is that's pretty high octane. That's like I
and
would call
you're
that some
basically
pulp.
sitting in water and a wood plank and forget about an harness. It doesn't exist. Yep, that was my introduction to welding.
Those were the days, eh?
Yep.
Tell that to these kids these days, and they won't believe you.
But later on, I've raised chicken, I've raised rabbit, and I've done other things. Repaired tractors. I've done. I don't know.
I also
I
raise
began as
rabbits.
a
Mm.
rabbits are easy to raise.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's funny because like a lot of those skills are completely transferable to a homesteading
Hmm.
Very
situation.
Not only
quickly.
well, if you're doing bushcraft thing, you're doing homesteading anyway.
This is
Yeah,
true.
there's a lot of crossover there as well. Absolutely. Yeah.
You're gonna heck, you're gonna get it. The material will change, but at the end, you'll feel the need.
Hmm.
I think I agree with Simone actually pretty hardly. Because him and I were talking about when he was on the phone with me and I was swearing at my machine one of these days. Um, him and I had talked about trying to be very stubborn with your tools out of necessity. There he goes. He knows. He knows where I'm headed. Him and I had talked about being very stubborn with your tools out of necessity. And I had said, there's another machine available. And he's like, why don't you get it? And I'm like, because I'm dirt poor. um, he's laughed about it for a second, but, he eventually got it. But I think he's right, because bushcraft is a lot about making your own things and knowing the skills to maintenance, all of that. And homesteading is pretty much the same thing, just on a different level.
I just want to fill Dennis in with sort of what the genesis of tonight was. I was asking people what their bushcraft journey has been up until now and where they see it going. So I figure that you have all kinds of stuff to say.
Yeah, well, kind of no.
You're actually a little different. Like, your channel's a little different than mine. You're more sort of canoeing and stuff, but you got some skills.
I've never considered myself to be a bushcrafter. I have bushcrafting skills because I do so much canoeing and I've been doing it for a long time. My skill set of bushcraft has grown, right? Obviously, because I'm out there in the element to be doing it. And, to start a fire with a ferro rod or a bow drill or something like that, can I do it? Yeah. Do I have to do it all the time? Well, for show's sake, yes, but for reality's sake, no. But I'll continue doing it. It's fun. I enjoy whittling. I enjoy building shelters and stuff like that. It keeps me busy in the off season when I can't paddle and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my journey. It's just skill sets picked up along the years of doing something that's kind of related,
And how did you get your start? What was your what was chapter 1? What was page 1 of your journey?
I was a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout when I was a kid, but I wouldn't really say that was the beginning of my journey. My dad had an Aboriginal friend, and this is probably back when I was around 18 or 19 years old. And he just said to me one day, he goes, "Hey, you want to try going canoe trip?" I go, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Right. So our first canoe trip, aluminum canoe, coolers, baseball gloves, the whole 9 yards, right? Like I wasn't well versed in what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of fell in love with it, though. It was pretty cool. We picked a place to go to and we just went and did it and got eaten alive by mosquitoes, and we didn't have water or filtration systems or anything like that. So we tried boiling water and it ended up tasting all smoky, and mosquitoes ate us alive. And, all our food was like I say, a couple coolers, 2-liter pop bottles filled with water.
Mm-hmm.
Great time, right?
Oh yeah. It was really cool. And it's really the whole evolution is really taken off since I just hit the switch on my chair and I just dropped.
Oh boy.
There we go. But yeah, so no, it's kind of how I got my start, right? It's and the canoe tripping has continued every single year since. I haven't missed a year. So
wow, that's impressive. I like that.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Guys, I'll be back in 2 minutes, so talk amongst yourselves.
Cool. I have a good comment. And it's people like you and people like Jess. You said it was kind of incidental for you that you were doing all of the skills all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's incidental for you, but I actually think it's really important for the community, because for a lot of people, YouTube channels like yours are their first exposure to seeing the skills done, and it's kind of what keeps them alive.
You know? I've had I just recently went to this past weekend, or week and a half ago, the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show, and I actually had this older gentleman and older woman come up to me, and she taps me on the shoulder. She says, "Are you Canoe Hound?" I said, "Yeah," and we started talking, and she says, "We're here because of you." And it was like that kind of made me feel good, because you always hear people tell these stories about people saying, yeah, you inspire me to get off my, out of my chair or this, that. And I actually had one of those incidences where they said, you're the reason why we're here. And we're coming to check out all this canoe stuff and everything else. Right. So to me, it was kind of flattering, but at the same time, it made me feel great to know that somebody got off their behinds because of what I do. Right. So, yeah.
No, that's beautiful. That's way better than what I thought my comment was going to lead to. Nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going somewhere else with that?
No, I was just hoping we get an impetus for continuity, but you actually had this really like heartwarming, wholesome story.
Yeah, no, it warmed my heart. I actually, when I got home, I couldn't wait to tell my wife, because she asked me how the whole show went and everything, and I told her that was the first thing that popped out of my mouth. It just made me feel really good, right? So Nick, I don't think we've ever met.
No, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
Good. Living the dream. Living the dream. Well, not always. Nightmares a dream. Yeah. How you doing, Chaucer? How you doing, buddy?
Hi.
Welcome back.
We this is off topic, but a guy came to fix our busted washing machine today, and he didn't put it back. So the missus just needed some help. Anyways, I'll fix it afterwards because I'm doing this right now. But anyway, sorry. Just so I imagine I missed some fabulous stuff.
Yeah, Canoe Hound had a really heartwarming story there.
Well, it was a feel good story on my end, anyway.
It was.
It's a feel good story for everyone, dude. I was telling him how a lot of the skills might be incidental for you guys who own the channels, but it's important because it keeps the skills alive, and it's a lot of people's first interaction with seeing the skills demonstrated or seeing someone try them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that reminds me. Well, that sort of harkens back to what I was saying before. What we were talking about an earlier chapter in our own lives being how you've read everything, but you haven't developed the practical skills yet, and how for some people these days you haven't read everything, you've watched every YouTube channel. And actually, so is that better or not as good as reading all the books, right? Because is it better to read and in your mind's eye see what the person is talking about and just assume that you got it right, or is it better to watch like everything Ray Mears has ever done, or everything that Dennis has done, or everything that like Skill Cult, if we're talking about axe stuff?
I don't know that order matters as long as you get both, because it would be like the guy who can hook up a house one way electrically, but doesn't understand why it all works because he didn't do the book work, or versus the guy who does all the book work but has never hooked up a house and then tries to go and get the work for it and get a job. They're both bad. So you need both. I don't know that order matters, at least not for me. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I feel that order doesn't matter as long as you get both.
See, I think Dennis, are you answering Brother Love's question?
Yeah. No, actually, where was there?
I just put it up on the screen.
Damn, Simon.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was kind of. I said, okay. What makes the canoe go fast? Paddling hard with the wind at your back, right?
Yeah.
No, you know what? If you're upgrading from a Coleman canoe, any canoe will probably go a little quicker than a Coleman because they're fairly heavy, right? All depends on the canoe. If you go with a lightweight canoe, something like a carbon fiber or a Kevlar composite or something like that. Of course, the lighter the weight, the quicker it's going to go.
Yeah,
but you might suffer a little more with maneuverability too, right? Because, say for instance, my Prospector 14, it's got no keel or anything like that, which most canoes don't nowadays when you get into the higher end canoes. But you catch a side wind and it's pushing you sideways, right? So
I was just talking about that with Dennis, you know Martin, right?
Yeah. Martin Pine.
Yeah, I was talking with him about that yesterday because at the beginning of May, if all goes well, I'm taking a very short canoe trip with him. Which, by the way, is a 6-hour drive from my place to his. So, but he's got a prospector, right? I think he's got a 16 or 15 prospector.
He's got pretty much the same canoe I have.
And the prospector is a symmetrical.
Yeah.
But he's got whatever his pack boat or whatever his other one is not symmetrical, right? It's got a stumpier back end than the bow.
Yeah, he's got the key weight.
Yes, yeah. And that one, it right. Yeah. Whereas with the prospector, it's a little more sort of at the whims of what's going on around you and the wind and stuff, which was interesting to be talking about because I think I've pretty much settled on a prospector 16 if my experience over the next few years goes the way I think it's going to go. And going by what makes what the base canoe seems to be right now.
Mm-hmm. And
I always find out what the base of something is and go for that because that's what everyone's experience is.
Yeah.
It's the same as I was explaining years ago why I settled with Canon for my videos, because I went with Canon because any problem I have, 5 people have had that problem and 4 of them have solved it on YouTube. So I always like to go for whatever's the base of vanilla Yuga, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I also. Oh yeah. So, anyways, it was funny because you were saying that, and it reminded me of this conversation I had with Martin. I also wanted to say to this thing that Simon said. Just throwing that out there.
Don't worry, Serge gave you another stab lower down.
I was just reading that comment.
Okay. Oh no, this is just never going to get old, is it?
One troll, and it's going to last for the rest of your life, man.
Yeah, I know, but I keep it with me just in case I have to baton anything.
I like Chaucer's Fox at Outdoors comment there. He says a canoe isn't really meant to be fast.
No, I agree with that.
It needs to be fast is when you're trying to get the hell out of Dodge because there's a storm approaching or something. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just looking down the chat to make sure that we're not listening, that we're not missing anything. I think Tenenbaum is talking about the prospector here, and it's funny that all canoe manufacturers have a prospector, and they're not exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just basically the name, right?
It's the name. I mean, they're all sort of within the ballpark, right? I think they're all pretty much like symmetrical. They're all, or at least I haven't seen a non-symmetrical one, but they're not the same.
No.
I find that interesting.
Well, I like my Novacraft. I'm pretty sure he's got the Novacraft prospector too, 16-footer. But you know what? It's a great boat. Like that's the one I had before my 14-foot prospector, and I won't get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in the Royal 8 material, right? But and they take a shit kicking. Like you can bang those things off rocks, and the only thing that happens to them is you have another story to tell, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you're gonna do that with him, let me know what weekend. I'll talk to Martin too because I'll probably be seeing him in a couple weeks, anyways.
It's the first weekend of May.
Yeah,
I'm taking the Friday and the Monday off so that I'm traveling. I'm not wasting weekend days.
Okay.
And so I. Whoa! Tenenbaum. Damn.
Oh, nice.
Tenenbaum and I've been talking about him getting a canoe because he lives in Europe. I'm not going to go all like. And,
he won my giveaway tonight.
Yeah, I know. I congratulated him on your channel and then on mine.
Cool.
But just because we were in Ottawa a month ago, 2 months ago, and we were at. Whatever that outdoor store that they have in Ottawa is, and looking at the Swift canoes. And I was like, man, don't you want one of these? He said, yeah, except it becomes an $8,000 canoe because of how expensive it is to ship it to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whew, okay. and I think he said that the closest Swift dealership or retailer is in Switzerland or something. But now that's cool because I've been looking at Novacraft too. They make some nice looking stuff.
Yeah. Did you get the Tough Stuff one, or did you get a carbon fiber, or sorry, Kevlar? That's a question for Tannenbaum.
Yeah.
That's what I figured out because I would have probably got an aluminum one.
But I don't think does Novacraft even make.
I don't think they make an aluminum one yet.
But Dennis,
Sir, I think you all mean aluminium. All right.
Aluminium.
yes, absolutely.
Aluminum. Insert an eye where if it fits. And
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
Brother Love is answering Dennis here, I think, about the Coleman. He's talking about the Coleman canoe. Christ.
Bottom with a keel 16 and a half, 80
Big
pounds. Yeah. Yeah. My 16-foot Prospector weighs 56 pounds, I believe. That's the Novacraft one. And the other one is far lighter, but it's smaller too. So
There he's telling us it's
tough stuff. Yeah, tough stuff. The Novacraft Tough Stuff. It's the replacement for the
what's it called?
The
Royal Light?
The Royal Light and the Royal X. Because the company that produced that stuff, I guess they folded. It was too expensive for them to make it.
Okay.
So Novacraft come out with this Tough Stuff, which is very similar, and it's supposedly tough stuff.
Well, what's the weight on it like, though?
Oh, it's probably lighter than the Royal Light, Royal X.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a thinner composite, right?
Cool.
Kevin would know more about it. Kevin Callan is, Kevin Callan's a huge Novacraft fan.
In fact, doesn't he only have Novacraft?
I don't know if he's got any others in his arsenal because he's got about 7 or 8 or 9 canoes, but I think I would say probably 9 out of 10 would probably be Novacraft.
Yeah, he really likes Novacraft. Well, he knows the guys, eh?
Yeah,
he knows the guys there, and he's I think that really makes a big difference when you know a maker, you kind of want to stick with that person because it's real for you where the money's going.
Yeah.
All right, we're creeping up on 23 hours, so I want to say this because now we're all together in a chat. Enough of us are in Canadiana and Americana to pass around a decent care package. So I'm getting ready to ship some things to Jess. This is no secret. I ship things places sometimes. I think it would be nice if I took something of mine or someone on the panel or in the chat requested something, either made of leather or wanted to try out one of my Jeff White knives. I'm confident shipping them. You are all bushcrafters. I can make knives. I'm not afraid if it gets destroyed. And actually started this stupid pass around.
Oh, the pass around that we were talking about. Yeah.
Because I mean, dude, the care package it's coming your way anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're gonna fuel some videos, I hope, but now we actually have a legit opportunity to get some American Jeff White knives across the border for you guys to try out, or even like leather goods.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm in.
Is that along the lines of what we were talking about a couple months ago there, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got a Jeff White bush knife and a Jeff White Sloyd. I modified my Sloyd to be a little more of a drop point, but still, I want to do the pass around.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I said my kick in on that would be one of those kid twig stoves.
Yeah,
which I do have now.
You do. So let's do this. I don't know. The twig stove and the knife are both excellent ideas. Do we just sort of want to start passing them both around, or do we want to do one as a trial?
Why don't we do a private StreamYard chat maybe one night this week?
Okay.
For a half hour, and we'll just work out the logistics of who's going to be involved.
Okay.
And we'll set up like a schedule of rotation, right?
Yep. I like it.
Because it could be where, you send me something, I send him something, he sends it, you know what I mean? Do a circle so something is traveling around it the whole time.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And we should definitely, as I said originally, set it up so that the stuff only crosses the border twice,
Mhm.
right? Not like
I was just gonna say that.
Tyler to me,
Yeah, because
me to Simo, Simo to Nick, or Nick to, because every time it crosses the border, money, like serious money, can
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
So,
Nick and I are together, same address.
I know. I was just grabbing examples out of the ether. But okay, let's take that offline to a private streamline. For now, we're at 2,300.
If you're at
So
the same address, how
Actually-
come only one of you is on screen?
funny,
My webcam
I'm
is
on my
broken.
phone.
Oh, okay.
you could have just gone and sat with him.
actually,
Gotten all like,
the only
He
He
one,
could have came and sat in here. I'm working on homework.
the only one
no, not anymore.
which is not on Signal yet is Dennis, and we can
Dennis
do
is
not
on
multiple. He's on Signal
Nope. Don't
Okay.
think so.
Get on Signal with us.
because we can do on Signal a multiple video feed, which is the same thing as a StreamYard, but totally private and offline.
Speaking
Well,
of,
you could do that with StreamYard too.
yeah, you guys don't go away just yet. I just want to take us. I just want to end the broadcast.
Yep.
Thanks to everyone who's been hanging out. If you're interested in maybe getting in on the pass around, we can talk about that as well offline. Everyone knows where to find me. I am looking forward to seeing you guys next week. The week of St. Patrick's Week, forget about it. I'm gigging every night, so I'm not going to have a chance to do this. But aside from that, come and hang out every Tuesday night. Go to Dennis's live stream first, and then come to mine, and that is a recipe for a night full of win. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. See you next time.
Good night,
Bye.
all.
Bye.